This is our time.
So, speaking of everything we've led up to at this point with mountain gaming, are there any experiences that or any specific contributions or achievements of other black people that you've studied and researched and learned about that helped shape your vision to what is now mountain gaming?
Yes. So it was this one time I was in one of my Black Studies classes, and we were learning about like the Pullman porters and how they had organized like one of the first like what's the word that I'm looking for, like union protests, like protests around work and labor. And I just remember sitting in class, I was mad, I was turning red, I was hot. I was like, so we just weren't gonna learn? They just weren't gonna tell us this? Like we were just gonna omit this from history? Because it was like, so who was gonna tell us this? So I remember that being a very like specific point where I left class mad. And I was mad because I almost didn't go to college. Like I almost was a product of my environment. Like on the brink of being a product of my environment where I wasn't going to school. I was hanging out with all of the wrong crowds and I almost didn't go to college. So I took it personal because it was like if the scales didn't tip in my favor, I would have never sat in that class and I would have never known and nobody was ever gonna tell me. So I was very upset and no one told me about the Pullman porters.
That makes perfect sense. We speak about a lot of things that are very strong in feeling an impact to our community. And you being a black man, you being a black woman. How do you balance as a creator to jump into a world such as this and continue to stay on task or just not turn it into such a negative feeling internally for yourself as your creative process and continue to make sure you're seeing through your mission?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's definitely difficult being a black creative. And I would say because the black American experience is hard in and of itself. We have a lot of, we say generational trauma, but like what exactly does that mean? And so it's our brains, when we're in our mom's stomachs, when they're exposed to stress or sounds of violence, it changes the structure of the brain. It changes the pathways and like the actual shape and formation of the brain. And so when you think about the generations of our families who have experienced racism and injustice and violence, there's a lot of generational trauma that has been passed down to us. And so it's like being a black creative, our outlets are creative outlets, but oftentimes there's a heaviness that comes with like that creative outlet. Like, I'm stressed, so I'm doing XYZ, or I'm not, this is my outlet to express myself. And so where I've had to find balance is making sure that I prioritize my mental health, because when my mental health isn't okay, it affects everything else. Like when I'm feeling anxious or experiencing like symptoms of PTSD, because gun violence is not normal, and I thought it was normal because it's normalized in Chicago, but it's not. And so having to validate my own experiences and take my mental health seriously, because if I'm not okay, nothing happens with the game. So there had gotten to a point where I was very depressed, I was very anxious, and I wasn't okay. And I had the game developers trying to collaborate with me, like, hey, this is a storyline, this is, the progress. And I had shut down. I couldn't respond. I wasn't in a place where I didn't have any more capacity. I barely had capacity to like breathe and get through my day, let alone like be creative and contribute to something meaningful. So that's when I realized that my art, my passion, the thing that made me a creative would suffer if I didn't take the time and space and make my mental health a priority.
I love it. So, future of mountain gaming, how do you see it evolving? Even once Insubordinate Time Rebel is released and the world has their hands on it, is there an idea for what the future of mountain gaming look like as it grows over time?
Yes, for sure. I want to cover all of the time eras as it pertains to Black history and the Black experience, and not specific to the United States. Like, our history is so rich in context, and it's so vast, and it's so beyond just the United States of America. Like, they didn't just take enslaved Africans to America. So there's so much history in other countries, on other continents, that we're not aware of. So I do want to expand the time eras and the geographic locations of the game, as well as creating games and toys that are designed for younger audiences in a way that doesn't take away from the historical accuracy, but also is age appropriate, and also giving them representation and something that they can collaborate and be a part of. So that's something that I really want to see in the future, is having collaborative processes with the people who we're creating the games for. Though there will be opportunities for people to sign up to be a part of focus groups, to give their feedback on the content, to look at the game and tell me what they feel, what they think, what we could do better, what they hate, what they love. I see this as being like a common household name, kind of like PlayStation or Xbox or those other entertainment companies, even Disney. I feel like Disney is a great example. I want to be like, if you can imagine, like Disney and Marvel and PlayStation had a baby and the mama was Black. So that's what I see the vision as. And even going a step beyond that, like when the company is at a point where we can bring in interns, because I think representation is so important, and we don't really see what we can be or who we can be. And oftentimes we need to be inspired to be like, I want to be that when I grow up. I want to be like this person when I grow up. So really being able to connect with schools and create opportunities to bring in students to come see what it is that we do, and to be inspired, and to have a new type of role model in what they can be, and that it's something fun, it's interesting, it's engaging. Like, I want to long-term vision, like my long-term goal is to have an academy that's very non-traditional, that's like right next to the mountain gaming campus, so the students can kind of like bounce back and forth between seeing what it is that we're doing over there. Because I just remember, not just my experience, but like my cousins and my brothers, like we be in school like, when am I ever gonna use this? Like, what do I need to know this for?
For sure.
And so being able to like be next door to like the gaming company and be like, oh, so like you need to know math to know the physics for the game, so I really do kind of need to know this. Like, giving a reason for like, when you actually will need to know this in real life, versus just here's a book, learn. But I also want to change the way students and people learn. Like, I want learning to be fun. I don't want it to just be like, I'm here from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock and I'm gonna go home and hate it. Like, all the kids, I'm the oldest, so they have no reason to like lie to me. They're like, I hate school, I don't want to go. I want it to be like, I can't wait to go to school. Like, we did this real cool thing yesterday and I can't wait to finish it. So I want to be innovative, or create innovative products that affect the everyday lives of people, and look for ways to incorporate Black history into that. So even with the Africanness, like in rhythm and beats and music, like being able to incorporate those into learning experiences. So my vision for mountain gaming is definitely like fun, educational for the family, but also inspiring and empowering.
I love it. I got a question that may be a little off the scales, but it's definitely worth it.
Go for it.
There's a little Aniya out there that's going through all these things that you mentioned, and she may very well get their hands on your video. If you were talking to your 12-year-old self right now, what would you tell her to keep her either motivated or inspire her to pursue? Because it's so easy for us as youth to get lost in what our environment is, and it literally snatch away our imagination. But to keep the creative mind and pursue that as a career, or even just continue to pursue your dreams, what could you tell little Aniya?
I would tell a younger version of myself that your life is worth living. And even if nobody sees you, you see you, and know that you are, your feelings are valid. Your feelings are valid, your experiences are valid, and it gets harder before it gets easier. By the time I was 13, I had tried to commit suicide twice. And so I remember, like, I have a journal from when I was 12 years old asking, like, God, like, why won't you let me die? Like, why do I have to be here? What's the purpose? Like, I don't want to be here. And if it were up to me, I wouldn't. And so oftentimes we don't know God's purpose until we know, and there is no time frame for what that looks like. The only thing you can do is just keep putting one foot in front of the other and do your best. All you can do is show up, and just keep trying. Like, be resilient, persevere. Like, you are worthy of living. And even if your environment is unfavorable, even if it's traumatic in its experiences, like, cry about it. It's okay to cry about it. It's okay to be angry about it. It's okay to feel however you feel about it and to sit in that feeling, because trying to just be okay, or to feel like, you know, this is a normal experience, like, you can invalidate your own self. And so if there was any advice that I could give to my younger self, it would be to take a deep breath and keep pushing, keep going, to know that things might not get better for a long time. And that sounds so, like, you know, bleak, but and like daunting, but the reality of it is that eventually it gets better. But this whole thing about, like, life and living is that you have to embrace the fact that you're going to suffer at times. There's going to be trauma at times, and there's also going to be up moments at times. But that's the journey of life. It has its ups and downs, and so don't get so caught up in your down that you don't recognize that there's an up. Like, if ever you're in a down moment, the thing that you can find peace in or encouragement in is knowing that there has to be an up moment. So, like, if you're down, know that what's coming next is a moment that's up. And even when you're up, enjoy your time being up, but know that you're gonna have another down moment, because that's just, you know, the flow, the ebbs and flows of life. So don't get so stuck in your down moment that you take yourself out of the game and you never really get to your up moment. Because when I look back at everything that I've been through, I wouldn't be here today if in those moments my suicide attempts were successful. I would never be able to sit here and be like, I bought and sold my first house before I was 26. Like, I am a founder of a game startup. I would have never gotten here. I would have never been able to impact the lives of the people, or to inspire people, or, you know, I would never have been able to do anything meaningful if I threw in the towel and those attempts to take my life were successful. So while the things that do make you not want to live anymore are valid reasons, like don't let those things take you out the game before you can like win it, because you can win it. So yeah, that would be my advice.
That makes absolutely perfect sense. We've had the pleasure to get to know Aniya, the creator of Mountain Gaming. We've got to know Insubordinate Time Rebel. We've gotten to know about your backstory and the things that created who you are and your perspective, and the things that you're aiming to achieve in your brand, as well as your target market, and et cetera, down the list. The floor is yours. Is there any last statements you want to give to your audience when it comes to your mission, or just anything? It's just your time to say whatever.
Yeah, I would say that this journey building Mountain Gaming has been very character building, because it's pushed me beyond what I'm comfortable with and doing. It's pushed me to, like, you know, my background wasn't in gaming or design or anything like that, but it's pushed me to be comfortable being uncomfortable, even like being in front of a camera. Like I am not like not camera shy. I'm very camera shy. I don't like, you know, being in front of cameras or, you know, people looking at me. I'm very shy. It gives me anxiety. And so this has been a very character building experience, but one that I've not shied away from stretching and growing. And so I hope that when people see this, that they're inspired to pursue the thing that they're passionate about, even if they don't feel that they have the skill set to do it, even if they don't feel like they're good enough. Like, you can't fail if you don't start. And one of the things that I tell myself is I had to define what failure was. Like, if I fail, what does that look like? And for me, failure was giving up, or being lazy. Like, that would be what I would say I failed at. And so in continuing to develop something that didn't exist, these were just thoughts in my mind. A lot of times you're going to have to believe in something that you can't see, and that's where faith comes in. Like, having faith and continuing to go at that thing, because when there's nothing to show, like, you have nothing to show, you just have words and thoughts. And on top of that, like, maybe your following isn't growing, or like being a creative, it can be a long and slow process. And I wouldn't want that to discourage someone from pursuing the things that they're passionate about just because nobody's watching it. So yeah, don't be discouraged. Also, with Mountain Gaming, like, you know, support me.
Plug your pages. You know, where can they find you, your social media? Where can they find Mountain Gaming? What can they do if they want to even volunteer, if they want to get involved? Let them know.
Yes, so Mountain Gaming, you can find Mountain Gaming at www.mountaingaming.org. Our Instagram is mountain__gaming. My Instagram is Aniya.Cheri. So yeah, definitely follow our journey, support, share with your friends.
Look, I am happy to have been able to have this interview with you, this conversation. I feel like it's a very healthy discussion for everyone to be able to hear. I'm your host, ADTV, and the thing that I like to tell everyone is mind your mental. So peace and love is my symbol. So you do peace and love, mind your mental. We're out of here.
It's a wrap.